So in this video, I'm going to show you how to unpack imposter syndrome and use your brain's learning mechanisms to help you generalize from everyday experiences to improve your public speaking. My name is Alan Richardson, I'm a test consultant and I do public speaking in different places. I've got a public speaking workshop that I was using to help people. The slides for the public speaking workshop are on SlideShare, so you can go and read them. There's 60 slides, they'll help you. When we do the workshop, it's a much more interactive experience. What was interesting about the workshop were some of the things that people were saying. Like we had a mix of people. Some people were quite comfortable talking in public, some people were quite comfortable talking to their teams, some people were quite comfortable talking in groups while sitting down, not standing up. Whole bunch of a range of things, which is really interesting for me because when I started doing public speaking, I couldn't do any of that. So I had to learn from the ground up. But a lot of people have a lot of base levels that they can start from to improve, which is really, really handy. And one of the things that we do really well as human beings is learn how to do stuff. One of the things that we often learn is how not to talk in public. Public speaking nerves and things are just learned responses. But we can use our existing experience to overcome that. And what I mean is, if you put your hand in the fire once, you're going to learn very quickly that fire, hot, burns, not good, don't go near it. And you only need to do that once. We generalize from that and we learn from that experience. Public speaking is very often a lot of little experiences put together to then convince you that you're not actually good at public speaking. But what people very often are good at is using their phone when they're outside. In public, they're talking in public, they're speaking in public, they're doing things that I don't like to do very much. I don't like to stand there and talk on my phone, but some people are happy doing that. If you're one of those people that are happy doing that, you can generalize from experience and look at all the times that you've spoken in public in your phone because you're talking in public. All the times that you're out in a street corner, you're talking to your friends. All the times that you've said something in meetings. And very often what happens is when you're in a meeting and you say something, if you're not a normal public speaker, is that there's something that pushed you to say something. Someone said something, or some things were just not being said. There's an elephant in the room and you were the only person prepared to speak up and say that. Harnessing that motivation and recognizing that you just need that extra push, that drive to get you there can really help. Because what we have to do is understand the mechanisms that lead us to speaking in public on a more natural basis and harness those. So very often we think of fear stopping us, but in reality very often what's happening is we've got excitement rather than fear. So it feels like nervousness because we're flooded with adrenaline. We have to use that adrenaline to push us into a more excited and slightly bigger than ourselves presentation state when we do public speaking. That's what the adrenaline is for, is to help us there. It's not a fight or flight, it's a push to get us doing something more exciting. Very often when we're doing or coming to do a talk, if we haven't got the motivation right, we don't have that push to get up there. So it's very important that before we even do a talk, we understand why we're doing this talk, what our motivation is, why we care, because that's really going to push you. When you say something in a meeting, it's because you care and there's something being unsaid and only you are the person that can say that. And so you make the effort and you do it and you say it and you speak in public. The other thing that we can do is we want to collate as many experiences as possible to convince our brain that we can do this. So if you look back through your history, at whatever age, at whatever circumstance, the times that you spoke in meetings, the times that you told someone to stop doing something in the shop because they were doing something wrong, the time that you helped someone out by saying, stop, don't pick up that axe. Don't run with those scissors. All those times are times when you spoke in public to help someone. You can use them. Just keep replaying those in your head and generalize them into speaking in public. That gives you the base evidence that you can do this, because we all have a range of experiences for this. And hopefully you'll get enough to outweigh all the ones that will tell you can't speak in public. This is really bad. People are going to laugh. All the ones where something positive happened, where you helped, where you got your message across. Generalize from those. Because one thing that people mentioned in the workshop was the notion of imposter syndrome, which is great because we take, psychotherapists have taken lots of normal everyday events and given them labels. And then we think we've got a label. And the great thing about a label is if you agree on the label, you don't have to go beneath it and work out what the motivations are. There's a really good book, Never Split the Difference, by Chris Voss. It's a negotiation book. Chris Voss was a negotiator in the FBI, and he's turning his information to sales. And one of the things he lists in there is a notion of labeling, where the negotiators describe a situation. So they say, it seems as though you feel that when you come out this door, we're going to shoot you. It sounds as if when you're talking to us, you're nervous that we're going to twist your words. Right? You're not actually making statements about how they actually feel, it's what it seems like, so they can then tell you what the actual reality is and engage with you and describe more stuff, which is a useful process. Then you can label that and describe it. What you are also doing is you're creating a statement, you're creating an assertion at a layer of abstraction, you're modeling their world at an agreed level where you don't have to go below. You don't have to understand the reasons, all the reasons what have led them to this position. You just say, it seems as though this is what's happening. If they agree, then you've got an established baseline upon which to build on. Now, there's a couple of books that I've used in the past for helping me deal with communication. First two are The Structure of Magic by Bandler and Grinder, and that deals with unpacking language that patients use so that therapists can help them. There's another two books called The Hypnotic Patterns of Milton Erickson, which deal with harnessing ambiguity, labeling things, so that the client then interprets on your behalf. So you might be saying something, you have a different set of meaning in it. They're hearing what you're saying and they're unpacking it to a different level of meaning, but it doesn't matter because it's a level of abstraction and hopefully it will help people. What Chris Voss is talking about here in terms of labeling is that create a layer of abstraction that everyone agrees on and build forward. We can treat the notion of imposter syndrome as a label. And if we agree on that label, then it's a thing that we have. We've got imposter syndrome. That's it. We just have to live with it. We have to go on. Or what we can do is we can use the kind of structure of magic type approach and we can unpack it. And instead of saying imposter syndrome, we can say, I find it difficult to talk in public because when I think about talking in public, I start to feel nervous when I actually approach the stage. And you can actually describe the behaviours, you can describe the events, you can describe the triggers, you can describe how you feel, you can describe how you maintain those processes and feelings. And then with an understanding of that process, you can start to address it and start to deal with it and apply techniques to work on it. But if you maintain things at a label level, at an abstraction, which you agree and accept, there's a lot less you can do. And learning to speak in public is a process, and it's a way of learning different techniques to help you in experimentation and practicing. It was really useful speaking to a group of people about these different processes to get their experiences. I think we only got about 10 slides through this deck during the 90-minute workshop because there was an awful lot of engagement, and that was fantastic because that's really what you want out of a workshop. Doesn't matter if you get through the slides or not. This is a public speaking thing. When you're doing a workshop, doesn't matter if you get through the slides. You can give them the slides after. You can give them your plan afterwards. That's okay. Because a workshop is about helping people who are there get the most out of their time there and addressing their needs and experiences. So for you, the slides are online. You can have a look through them. Hopefully they'll help. But I hope also that you unpack some of the labels that you've got to start addressing whatever issues you've got with public speaking and start going through a process. But also use your brain's learning mechanisms to help you. So generalize in a positive way from what might to you seem like completely unrelated events. But if you can find a weaving thread between them and make it so that it's related to public speaking and make it so that it's positive and demonstrates to you that you can speak in public, find all of those, generalize, and your brain will learn from those and it will pick up and you will have a different attitude to public speaking. Thank you very much for watching. Hope this helps. Normally we talk about software testing. It's very important that with software testing we learn how to speak in public and get the point across. But if this video is useful to you, let me know in the comments and we'll see if we can do some more like this.